somebody once asked me, why is it that in my classes I jump around from topic to topic? I take too many tangents. That was the phrase. Wasn't a complaint, more an inquiry, puzzled. If we came to discuss X, why are you discussing Y and Z? There are a few answers to that. The first part is, our rabbis tell us that divrei Torah, the words of Torah, ashirin mimakom acher, are richer in another spot. Mm-hmm. I'll explain. If you find one word in the Torah here, and you explain what it means, that's nice. But if you can show that in 2 or 3 or 4 other places, the Torah meant the same thing, or the rabbis meant the same thing, or the Rambam meant the same thing, you have now made it richer. And so there's this idea that Torah is interconnected, and there's no part of the Torah that's off tangent, off topic. The second is very simple. Torah must be a natural study. It's not a university class, it's not a discipline in an academy. This is something that is a way of life. And a way of life means that it includes many different styles, many different approaches, many different opinions, many different understandings. And therefore, you'll find that Torah, sometimes you'll be learning here, I remember something else. It might not sound connected, but Torah is meant to be taught over naturally. And perhaps this is why our rabbis warned us against studying from people whose personalities are problematic. Because their personality will cause them to jump to different places. And so if the person who you're studying from, you connect to the personality, that personality will take you, yes, to random places, but to good places, places that you want to go to. But if the person's personality is, it's not a good personality, they'll take you places where you don't want to go. And therefore, even though you think you might be coming to a class on topic X, you're really coming to a class on Y and Z that goes somewhere else. And then, but lastly, is I didn't always teach like that. I only discovered the difference between a speech, a sermon, a lecture, and a Torah class when I was by Rabbi Peretz. And I realized there are 2 very different styles of teaching. You're asked to give a 10-minute Dvar Torah at the Bet Knesset. You're supposed to go about the Parsha, or about Halakha, or about a current event. So you have 10 minutes, and like a normal speech, there must be an opening, there must be an introduction, maybe a little joke or a story or something that gets people engaged. You then state what it is that you're here to speak about. You mention the opening pasuk. You give a nice little Dvar Torah, and then you conclude. You wrap it up. If a person speaks not like that, and they come up and they're already talking about questions and answers, there are 4 questions to this answer, they already lost you. And so you have to know how to open up a sermon. Very many people, they want to speak, they want to engage, they want to say a Dvar Torah to Shabbat table, but they don't know you have to begin somewhere. You have to ease people into this conversation. And then at the end, so you said so many ideas. People don't, you wrote the speech. They didn't. So you have to wrap it up for them, conclude. So what I mean to say, or in conclusion, or in sum, you have to help a person, spoon feed them to that Torah. But when you're teaching a Torah class to people who are when you're teaching a community, so there's all kinds of levels of, not just people in levels of religiosity, but levels of intelligence, or levels of depth, or people who are more interested versus those who just, they want to hear something light that they can take home to their Shabbat table. They don't want to hear some, so you have to gauge your audience and say, I have to speak somewhere that's common to everybody. But when you're teaching a class, so in a class, you have the ability to do things you can't do in public. And that is, if you know the people in your class expect X amount of intelligence, or this amount of academic thought, you can take them there and even higher, because you know who you're dealing with. And that then goes into the fact that a class doesn't have to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. It doesn't have to start somewhere. In fact, I would argue that if you're in a yeshiva, let's say, and you were coming to give a Gemara class, if you would start off with a joke, you probably lose your self-integrity right at the beginning of the class. I'm not saying it's forbidden to tell jokes in yeshiva, but there's a certain level of study, a certain style of study that's accepted here, and it's not a speech at a bar mitzvah, or at a wedding, or under the chuppah. Then a person has to know the difference between these things. When you come to learn in a class, if the class is a lecture, so the lecturer, the idea is that they have an idea, they want to get through your head, and then you are just a subject, someone that you listen to. Yeah. That style may have worked once upon a time. I don't believe that style works anymore, or it might work for some people. I find the problem in education is very much people are lecturing at you.
Yeah.
They're lecturing at you.
Okay.
To educate is something different. It's to bring a topic up and to walk people through the different avenues, the different sidewalks, the different stores, to bring people into a different understanding of a topic.
Excuse me.
And this entire style of teaching, it doesn't have to end, because next week we're going to pick up where we left off, and the next week we're going to pick up where, if you're a traveling lecturer and you're never going to see these people again, you have to have a different style of speech. And so Rav Peretz taught me that you don't have to have a beginning, a middle, and an end when you're dealing with a population that wants to keep growing together. Because there's no need to. You don't need to impress them with a joke. You don't need to conclude, because next week you're going to be there again. Yeah, you can still gauge the audience and see who needs to study what, but it should be much more natural, a style of learning, than just a lecture or a speech. Or teachers say, don't interrupt me until I'm done talking. What do you mean? Why should I not interrupt you? I don't understand what you're saying. So you only wait 20 minutes until I ask you my question? In 20 minutes, I'm not going to understand anything you said in the last 20 minutes.
That's what professors do. They don't want to be interrupted from beginning to end.
Very good, because professors are lecturers.
Yeah.
Very few of them are educators. Now, I don't know if I'm right, but I did read in an article once, and I'm not a Latin expert, so forgive me, that the word educate and the word seduce in Latin have the same root.
I don't know.
Someone can look it up for me. I don't know if it's true. Obviously not in a promiscuous way, but you want to intrigue a person into thinking. And that is something that's very different, an educator from a lecturer. When I was once with my wife at the doctor's office, and they wrote, you have to write down your profession. I don't know why the doctor needs to know your profession, but they asked. She never writes teacher. Not a teacher. Teachers teach at people. She's an educator. Educate with people. It's a with the people. You sit down, hey, what do you need to know? Let's learn it together. All of this hakdama, this introduction, is to bring us to another point. And that is that I find very often there are classes or lectures or sermons or all across the spectrum that are not just boring. I opened up a book today. When I was in 12th grade, we wrote a Torah book together, the people in my class. We wrote the words of Torah and the Talmud, different interpretations and understandings. I was the only one who wrote something on halakha. And I guess I was never in the mainstream of how everyone else wrote or spoke. I was very sad, because when I read this book, I realized unless you have a sentimental connection to this book like I do, there's no reason in the world until the Mashiach comes that someone will pick up this book. There's nothing in it that's necessary to a person's life. There's nothing in it that will change their connection to Hashem. There's nothing in it that is profound. Obviously, you're talking about 12th graders, right? So there's only so much you can expect.
Yeah.
But the idea was, this book wasn't meant to expand people's horizons. It wasn't meant to connect people to Hashem. It was meant to almost regurgitate anything that's inside of you onto paper. And it's a mistake. It's a mistake that so many books, sometimes I go to the bookstores, all these books are all saying the same thing. They just keep talking about the Parsha. How many times can you say about the Parasha the same thing? We all know this. We all know halakha. How many times can you tell me when are you going to come out with something innovative? With something that I've never heard before? With something that's going to make me want to see this again? When? When are you going to challenge the audience that you're dealing with? And then you have the speaker, which I'm sure all of you have experienced before, who gets up and starts off the speech with, well, there's an argument in the Talmud about the Korban Pesach, the sacrifice of offering of Pesach. Well, one opinion says like this, and the second opinion says like that, and the third opinion says the other way. And there are 5 answers that are given to explain this discrepancy, and they go on for an hour and a half talking about the sacrifice of Pesach, which we don't even offer today in the Beit HaMikdash. We don't have to. And you sit there and an hour and a half I had to listen to you. I don't understand one thing what did I get out of this speech? You tell me all about things that are irrelevant to my life. You could argue, yes, for the sake of Torah study, you study about the Korban Pesach, fine. So if I wanted to come to the class about the Korban Pesach, I would. You're given a 10-minute opportunity to Shabbat table, to influence another person, to help them out. You chose to talk about how you slaughter cows in the temple? That's seriously what you chose to speak about?
But it tells you how different people approach a problem, what their worldview is, what their Torah view is. So, I mean, it could be a little bit generalized.
Sure, you're right. It could be, but most often it's not. I agree with you. If it was there to bring a point of, look, there are many opinions to understand this, fine. You know where you see this? You see this in Pirkei Avot. I'm not inventing this approach. In Pirkei Avot, our rabbis were asked, if you had one sentence that you will go down in the history of the Jewish people, the ethics of our fathers. One teaching, or three teachings lumped into one sentence that you are willing... Hillel says X. Rabbi Akiva says Y. Whatever it is, Rabbi Meir says Z. What are you going to tell the Jew? What is going to be your legacy? None of them opened up about the laws of washing your hands for bread.
No.
Nobody mentions in there about Shabbat and how you make tea. Everyone pulled something out that was profound, and until today we study that book every single day. Pirkei Avot. Because they left behind something that was larger than just the 5-minute conversation. And more than that, I would say the rabbis of Pirkei Avot, more often than they taught you laws or codes or interpretations, they gave you an insight on how to live your life better. And then when people see Pirkei Avot, they say, wow, that other part of the Torah I don't really connect to, but this part of the Torah, how to make myself a better person, how to live a better life, how to be a better Jew, how to connect to Hashem better, how to be a better husband, how to be a better wife, how to be a better parent, how to be better... All of these things inside of Pirkei Avot, I want to read these things. These are timeless words of information. And so Rabbi Peretz in his book on how to be a rabbi, he says that when you speak in front of a community, he said you should choose a topic that you know, not just one that you know, but one that you believe in. Because very often people speak about things they don't really believe in, but they read it in a book, and that's the only thing they can share at this moment in time. He said something that will interest the people who are listening to you. Now, these might seem like very simple things, but very often you'll find speakers not like that. And last but not least is V'ikar HaKol, but the main part of any Torah class, Al Tikun HaMidot V'Avodat Hashem. How to fix your midot, your character traits, and how to connect to Hashem. When a person gets up, if people got up in the Beit Knesset, and instead of speaking about the details in the parasha, they brought out an idea from the parasha that could fix a broken marriage, or could fix children that are rebelling against their parents, or it could help solve a dilemma inside of a community, people would be so much more connected to Torah. They'd realize there's a wisdom in Torah that can solve even my day-to-day problems. And so I figured today I was writing up Rabbi Peretz's notes on this week's parasha. He normally has like 2.5 pages in every parasha. This week he sent me 10 pages in the parasha.
Wow.
Page number 10 is from Tafshin Nun Bet. So if you help me out, we're now in Tafshin Ayin Vav. 76, Nun Bet is 52. How many years ago?
Oh, 25 years.
About 25 years ago. So these are his notes from 25 years ago. I brought you a copy. They're in Hebrew, but we'll go through them together. I've never done this before, but I want to show you when our parents teaches parasha, it doesn't flow. It doesn't connect. But there are certain things. He read the parasha, that this is what you have to get out from this parasha. This is a character trait you have to develop. This is an approach you have to see. And these things are very important. And perhaps from here you'll see a little bit of a bigger picture of where the style of teaching comes from and how you should really learn the parasha. Don't learn just what is in front of your face. Dig a little bit deeper. Go from the backside. Try to see what else is inside of the parasha that I can walk away with or I can hand someone else. So, B'ezrat Hashem, let's do this together. I have enough papers for you. Shaul, Abraham, that's for you. Marlene, this is for you.
When you bring all these different...
It's this one.
No.
Yeah.
When you bring all the different... points and not to stay on the one path. It's really very realistic because the Torah is not just plain simple, and life is not really plain simple. But you're showing every idea has depth and breadth, and so you have to bring a little bit here, a little bit there.
It has natural, organic. That would be the word I would use. It has the flow and the natural, like you're having a conversation with somebody else. So let's.
Is this what he sent you?
Yeah, all of this. This whole packet. This is his handwriting.
This is different from up here. Did he write this at a different time?
Some of them he wrote either faster, you'll see he didn't have time. You'll see that this is not a page that he meant to be typed up. So, I'll show you one. For example, the pages that he chooses to be typed up, he writes much neater. Like this.
Yeah, it's neat. This is neat too.
Oh yeah, must need
Or sometimes it's a different pen or a different pencil or something like that.
So you can put this. You're gonna put this into a book, Rav Peretz.
B'ezrat Hashem. I try to type up every week. I don't always get a chance to, but I try to do it every week.
No?
whatever they send me from Yerushalayim. Levi Moro is the one who sends me these papers.
Really?
Yeah.
It goes through him?
He scans them and sends them to me.
How lovely.
It's amazing. Rav Peretz sitting in Yerushalayim, he finishes the class, and 10 minutes after the class is over, I get all of the papers scanned to my email in San Diego.
Wow. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good way of using technology.
So it says here, Vayishma. Let's open up the Chumash, Parasha Yitro. This was Parasha.
So it's interesting, she has no dots except in a few places he puts dots.
Because there are two ways to read a word, and he wants to make sure you read it correctly.
Okay.
What page?
I'll tell you what page. This week's Parasha is on page, if you find it before me, Yitro.
It's
394.
394. Oh, Jethro.
Yes.
Christians know him as Jethro. They don't know the other names. They're totally unaware of it.
I heard something very interesting about this parsha. I was listening. They said that the reason why the reason why Moshe thought that he could be the only adjudicator, the only judge, the only peacemaker for all 2-3 million people was because when he dealt with each individual issue, all he was doing was just reflecting, this is what God wants, and it was very simple, and it wasn't like he had to go through and figure out what's going on. It was just very simple. This is what God wants in this wants to do in the situation. It was interesting to think about
Interesting.
that. And then, but Yitro says you need a whole system of judges because in future generations it won't be somebody like you who is there. You won't just have this direct channel.
So Rav Peretz is actually going to discuss why Moshe waited until Yitro came to him to come up with this idea. But it's a good point. We'll get into this. Let's see what the Parasha says. Vayishma Yitro Kohen Midian Choten Moshe. Yitro, the minister of Midian, the father-in-law of Moshe, Et kol asher asa Elohim leMoshe l'Yisrael amo. He heard all of the things that Hashem did for Moshe and the Jewish people. Now we're going to see right away at the beginning of our Peretz's notes is what exactly did Yitro hear? What did he hear? I mean, hear everything that he did. What is that? Ki hotzia Adonai Yisrael mitzrayim, that Hashem had taken Israel out of Egypt. V'kach yitroch et Moshe Tzipora eshel Moshe achar shlochea. He took his daughter Tzipora after she had been sent away. Ve'et shnei vanea, he brings the two sons. Shem echad Gershom, kemar geriti be'etz Zochia, v'shem echad Eliezer. He brings both Gershom and Eliezer, both the children of Moshe Rabbeinu. Vayavo Yitro choten Moshe, and Yitro, the father-in-law of Moshe, came. Uvanav v'ishto el Moshe, with his sons and his wife, to Moshe. El Hamidbar, asher hu choneh sham har Elohim, to the wilderness where he was encamped by the mountain of Hashem. Vayomer Moshe ani chotencha Yitro, ba elecha. I am your father-in-law Yitro, and I'm coming to you. V'ishtecha u'shnei vanei ima, and your wife and your two children are with her. Vayitze Moshe likrat chotno, and Moshe comes out to meet his father-in-law. V'yishtachu, and he bows down. V'yishaklo, and he kisses him. V'yishalu ish lere'ehu l'shalom, and they inquired about each other's well-being. V'yavo ha'ohela, and they came into the tent.
Why did he prostrate himself in front of Yitro? That's very peculiar.
He treated him with great respect.
Respect.
To bow in front of somebody?
Yeah. That was customary in those days, wasn't it?
Of course. Yeah.
I thought you always was a bow in front of a Shaar.
You don't remember that we Yaakov Avinu bows down to Esav 7 times. He bows down.
Yeah, but that wasn't the right thing for him to do, was it?
Why not?
Because he's not Hashem. He's Esav.
It was a sign of respect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like one would bow in front of a king. Many times in the Torah we find people bowing to each other.
Yeah.
You get thrown off about Mordechai, why he didn't want to bow to Haman, but that's actually the exception to the rule.
I think modern people now have the impression that you're only supposed to bow or prostrate yourself only to God, to Hashem.
Well,
And
it could be that that's the right thing to do today.
Yeah.
Okay.
But as a sign of respect, this was the way he bowed down. I'm sure there was a different kind of bowing to Hashem than bowing to Yitro, but as a sign of respect.
Okay.
It's a good question. ויספר משה לחותנו, and Moshe told his father-in-law, כל אשר עשה אדוני לפרעה במצרים, על אודות ישראל, everything that Hashem did to Paro, to Egypt, to the Jews, and everything that happened to the Egyptians. Let's keep going. ויחד יתרו על כל הטובה אשר עשה אדוני לישראל. Yitro rejoiced. Now, not all opinions say rejoiced. Some say that Yitro was actually very sad. It was still his people at the end of the day. It was still people that he knew. He knew Egypt. He knew the people. They were family. They were relatives.
What does it say in Hebrew? What's the Hebrew word?
Vayichad. It's a big question. What does Vayichad mean?
No.
Our rabbis give two interpretations. One is Vayichad, he rejoiced. That seems to be the simple understanding. The other is Vayichad, Nasa Besaro Chidudim Chidudim. He got like goosebumps, shivers.
No.
Wow.
Also, I've been reading the Midrash, and it's talking about Yitro, and he said that he was one of the ministers to the Pharaoh before.
Yes, of course. He was one of
before Moshe left Egypt.
I remember the special time. Exactly. He was there with some say Eov was there.
Bilam was one of them,
Right.
And the third one I forget.
I think it was Eov. They say John.
Eov,
yeah,
it was.
right.
Job.
Yeah,
Job.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eov. Yeah.
Why did he come at this time to Moshe if he didn't know what had happened? I mean, if Moshe's telling him all the things that happened, I mean, surely he already heard about it.
He had heard something. Well, this is going to come. What exactly did he hear? That's the question, right? So why is Moshe telling him? That's exactly the question we're coming to answer. The Vayomer Yitro, and Yitro says, Baruch Adonai, blessed is Hashem, Asher Yitzil Etchem Be'ad Mitzrayim, who saved you from the hands of Egypt, Miyad Paro, and from the hands of Paro, Asher Hitzil Et Ha'am Mitachat Yad Mitzrayim, who saved the people from the hands of Egypt. Ata yadati, now I know, Ki Gadol Adonai Mikol Elohim, that Hashem is greater than all the other gods, Ki Bedavar Asher Zadu Alehem, V'kach Yitro Chotem Moshe Olav Zvachim, he brings offerings, and let's go to the next verse. Vayim Machorat, it was the next day. Vayeshev Moshe lishpot et ha'am, and Moshe sat down to judge the people. V'yamod ha'am al Moshe min haboker ad ha'arev, and the people were waiting for Moshe from the morning until the evening. Vayar choten Moshe et kol asher hu oseh la'am, vayomer ma hadavar asher אתה עושה לעם? מדוע אתה יושב לבדך? וכל העם ניצב עליך min boker ad ha'arev. Why are you doing this? Why are all the people waiting for you from the morning until the evening? Vayomer Moshe lechotno, Moshe, page 398, tells his father-in-law, Ki yavo elai ha'am lidrosh Elohim, because people come to me to seek Hashem. Ki yeh lahem davar ba'alai, uveshafati ben ish uben re'u, v'odati et chukei Elohim ve'torotav. He said, I come and I tell them about Hashem's teachings and the Torah, meaning he judges between the people. Vayomer choten Moshe elav, lo tov hadavar asher ata oseh. It's not good what you're doing, says Yitro. נבול תיבול גם אתה, גם העם הזה אשר עמך, כי כבד ממך הדבר, לא תוכל עשוהו לבדך. He says, this is too much for you. You're not going to be able to do it alone. And he later goes on to saying you should bring other judges, and these are the people you should look for. They're God-fearing people, people who can discern, men of accomplishment, so on and so forth.
Why would he think that he is more able to judge what's right and what's not right than Moshe Rabbeinu?
Who?
Yeah, Yitro.
It's wonderful. So all of these things, that's what Rav Peretz comes to answer. All of the questions we brought up so far. Let's do this page together. In the first part of the parasha, there are two obvious questions. The whole story, we hear the story, we got the story done, but there are things that come up that we have to discuss. Let's look at the first thing. Vayishma Yitro. Yitro heard, at the top of the page. It's underlined, the two words that are underlined. Vayishma Yitro. Yitro heard. Ma shmu'a shama'ova. Rav Peretz is quoting a midrash. The midrash says, what did Yitro hear? Rav Yehoshua Omer. Rabbi Yehoshua says, Milchemet Amalek Shama'ova. He heard about the war of Amalek. And he came. Shik Tuva Betzido, because this war of Amalek is written right next to this parasha. I mean, last week's parasha, we ended off with the war of Amalek. Do you remember?
Right.
Yeah, okay,
Moshe lifted his hands, that was the war. So he heard about the war of Amalek, and he comes to see Moshe. How you doing? Rabbi Elazar HaModi'i. Rabbi Elazar the Modi'i says, Omer, Matan Torah Shama Uva. He heard the giving of the Torah and he came.
Oh, so we think that there's more than one
reason for why he came. No, more than one reason for why he came. One says he came because he heard about the war of Amalek.
Okay.
The other rabbi says he heard about the giving of the Torah. Shebasha'ah shnitna Torah, Za'u kol malchei ha'adama beichalehem. That at the time the Torah was given, all of the kings of the world started shaking in their chambers. Nitkabtzu kol umot ha'olam uva'u etzel Bilam. All the nations of the world gathered together and came to Bilam. They didn't know what was going on. And the Torah noten la'amo. Bilam said they're giving a Torah now to the Jewish people. Shema, like it says, Adonai oz la'amo yiten. Hashem is giving greatness to His people, strength. V'kevan shesham'u kulam et hadavar hazeh. Once they heard that, they were worried. They didn't know, maybe it was an earthquake, maybe it was World War III. They didn't know what was happening. They decided to go ask Bilam. Bilam tells them, oh, Hashem is giving the Torah to the Jewish people, and it's shaking the whole world. Once they heard this, mipiv nasu kulam v'alchu ish limkomo. Every person heard and said, oh, okay, great, and they went back to where they came from.
Oh.
What? Really?
You know, they didn't think it was a big deal then?
Exactly. Lefizeh, says Rav Peretz, and therefore, because of this, Kol ha'olam lo ichpat lahem min tinat Torah. You see, the whole world didn't care that the Torah was being given. Aval Yitro, yachid shamahu ba. Yitro was the only one who heard, and he came.
Oh. So Jethro was the only one that came
Very good.
and stayed.
And Bilam is supposed to be a prophet. He knows that God is right now speaking to the Jewish people. The very least you could do is go stand next to Mount Sinai, hear what's going on, hear what the commotion is about. Nah, we don't want to go.
How could it be? I mean, it was such an earth-shattering event. How could people not be interested?
So do you ever sit here and wonder, how could it be the people going to Sprouts right now? They don't know. They don't know about this great Torah.
Yeah.
Truth is,
Yeah,
they don't care.
They don't care. No.
They don't care. And even if you were to shake it on their face, they wouldn't care. Oh, that's what they do on the second floor next to State Farm? Oh, I got it. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, but this is
We expect the world to want to know. You know, you hear what they say, the poor Palestinians, the Israelis, then you tell them the truth, and why doesn't anybody care about the truth? Nobody cares about the truth.
Right. Because, yeah, well.
The reason, only very few people are this person of Yitro. They hear and they come. They want to come. They want to cling. They want to join.
There was a lot of noise that was made by like ice glaciers breaking, and it was like heard throughout like most of the world, and like so,
Really?
Yeah, like a lot of people, like most of the world like heard it, and so like nobody really like not many people actually like looked and tried to figure out what it was. Most people ignored it. Some lady thought that she was going insane.
When was that?
When was this?
A while ago, I can't remember.
Okay.
It was actually a noise from the glaciers?
Yeah, people.
You can imagine now in the summer with the Hamas terrorists who were digging, they were digging into people's homes, that whole plan. There was one lady who claimed that she kept hearing from her sink sounds of clanging and shoveling, and her doctor kept prescribing her medication. That she's crazy, she's hearing things, she's this. A lot of people heard it, not everyone reacted.
Kept her doped up, huh?
Yeah, but here we're talking about a profound message. Yitro was one of the few people who really not just wanted it, he wanted to go see what's really going on. It's about the greatness of Yitro. Now there's something else here that perhaps Rav Peretz will point out, and that is, you have to learn about the world around you. If something happens, you have to take it to heart. You see something that's going on, you have to think about it. You know, just last night I got someone send me an article. You know, it sounds silly compared to what we're studying now. There's a species of rhino that has been declared extinct yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah, I wasn't aware until
a black, a sub-African black rhino. I don't know exactly what
black
it's
rhino.
called.
Wow, yeah.
And you know, I think about that. So, oh, who cares? I mean, who cares? It's true. I don't plan to see a rhino tomorrow. I don't own a rhino. I don't want to. But the truth is, something big happened in the world, and it has to do something for you. You know, you see a hurricane happens, an earthquake happens, and hundreds of people die. You can just be one of those people. You click to the next channel, or you close the window that popped up on your internet screen, or you say, I have to do something about this. Some message must be internalized. Yitro was one of those people that when he saw something happen, he realized there must be a greater message that I have to tap into. That's a greatness about Yitro. That is a very high level that Yitro had. You have to remember, Yitro was not Jewish.
Yeah.
Yitro was yes, he was a God-fearing person, but he was a Kohen Midian. He was the high priest of Midian. So this is point number one. Rav Peretz brings down something very interesting. And that is to know, to listen, to hear. Yitro was one of those few people who actually cared enough about the Torah to come and speak. And so when you wonder, why did Moshe Rabbeinu give this guy so much respect? He was, and maybe it was Moshe was being very humble by giving him that much respect. But still, Yitro was a person who was deserving of respect. He was a wise sage. Let's keep going.
When he was a minister in Egypt, and the Pharaoh was asking how he could because there was some prophecy that his magicians had that a Jewish person would overthrow the Pharaoh. And so he had brought his ministers, Jethro being one of them, Bilam the other one, and
Eov.
And Eov was the other one. And Jethro said, not what was. He said not to do anything, not to harm
the coals and the crown.
Yeah. So he had to flee. He had to flee Egypt as well. Yeah.
That's why he ended up in Midian. That's true. That's why he ended up in Midian.
That's how he ended up in Midian.
He said don't do anything.
Yeah, it was Bilam who advocated killing the children. So this person who was to overthrow the Pharaoh would not be born. So that's when they started killing the
You know something interesting that's not according to the Pshat. I don't know how to explain it really when it comes to ages. The Zohar mentions that Tzipora, who was Moshe's wife, and Bitya, who was Bitya, the daughter of Paro, the one who found Moshe in the river.
That's right. That's right. You're right.
That Bitya.
She's the one that found Moses.
They turned that name into Batya. The name is Bitya.
Bitya.
Yeah, it means Batya, the daughter of God, but it's pronounced in Hebrew Bitya. Bitya and Tzipora, according to the Zohar, were sisters.
Really?
That were given up for adoption at birth, and were adopted, one by Paro and one by Yitro.
Who were their parents?
I don't know. Listen, this is one of those pieces of Zohar that you don't know what to do with. So Moshe married somebody who was much, much older than him at the age of somebody who was really his mother for many years. Interesting question. What does the Zohar mean? Maybe the Zohar doesn't mean actually biologically related. Perhaps it's more of a spiritual connection they shared. I don't know exactly what to do with it, but from here you see Paro and Yitro were very close. They were in the courts. They were in the same government offices together. Rav Peretz brings down another thing. That is that Moshe Rabbeinu was very humble. There's a midrash called Yalkut Shimoni. You've probably seen a quote in many places. And the second is Veitzem Moshe likat chotno. Moshe comes out to his father-in-law. Amru, it says in the midrash, Yatza Moshe ve'Haron. Moshe went out with Aharon, with Nadav ve'Avihu, with the sons of Aharon. Those are the same sons of Aharon that are going to be killed in Achrei Mot. Really in Kiddushim. V'shivim skinim, and 70 elders of the Jewish people came with Moshe. V'acharehem kol Yisrael, and after them came all of the Jewish people to meet Yitro.
Wow.
It's a big procession.
Yeah.
V'yesh omrim, and some say, Av Shechina, even the Shechina came to meet Yitro.
Where is this from?
This is from the Yalkut Shimoni.
Okay.
It's a midrash. Vayishtachu vayishaklo. It says they bowed down and he kissed him. And Niodas in English, I don't know mi yishtachaven me. Who bowed down to who? It says he kissed him.
Yeah.
He bowed down to him. Who's he and who's him?
Yeah.
Wait, he prostrated himself and kissed him. That's right. Well.
Who is the he and who is the him? Art Scroll very conveniently already translates the midrash into being. But from the Hebrew, you wouldn't really know who is who.
Really?
When it says Vishalu ish l're'ehu l'shalom, that the man asked his friend, "How are you?" Mikaru ish. So that will give you away. Who's called an ish? Who's called ish? It says that they asked for each other's well-being. The Torah literally says that the ish, the man, asked his friend, "Shalom, how are you? What is your peace?"
Yeah.
From here you see that the person who was doing all the action, he was called ish. And who else in the Torah was called ish? Moshe Rabbeinu. That's what the Midrash says. Because it says later, V'ha'ish Moshe anav me'od. The man, Moshe, was very humble.
Mm-hmm.
And so you see that there's another place where Moshe Rabbeinu was called Ish, and therefore the one who was bowing and kissing and all this was Moshe Rabbeinu.
Is this one of his names?
Ish literally means man.
That's what I thought, yeah.
But it's a title that's given to him.
Oh.
You see here that Moshe Rabbeinu also didn't necessarily feel that everyone else should be bowing and kissing, just him. It was his respect to his father-in-law. There's a big question in Halakha whether or not you have to respect your in-laws.
Really?
Sure. Meaning, are they included in the category of respect your father and mother? Obviously, you have to respect them because they're human beings.
Yeah.
The question is, do you have to respect them like parents? Shulchan Aruch doesn't mention this halakha.
Oh, he doesn't.
The Ramah, Rabbi Moshe says, yes, Shomayim, some say that you must. It's a good thing to be strict about.
Yeah.
In general, it's a good thing to be strict about.
Hmm.
Obviously, you have to respect them. Your wife, or your husband has to respect them. But there's what to be said about this. Moshe Rabbeinu was setting an example. There's something I didn't mention, and that is the two opinions we mentioned before. Yitro heard. What did he hear? Why did he come? He heard two things. One opinion says he heard
The Torah.
the Torah being given. Another one says he heard about Amalek.
Yeah.
Tell me something. Was the Torah given yet?
No,
Why did you ask me this question then? I was waiting. I thought maybe you would come up with this question.
that's right.
I mean, there's the war of Amalek, and then Yitro comes, and then the Torah is given. So the first answer makes sense. Rabbi Yeshua says he came because he heard about the war with Amalek. What about the second answer? The second answer says he came because of the Torah being. The Torah wasn't given yet.
He couldn't have known. But wasn't he coming out?
And then we brought down the Midrash. He says, all the kings came. They asked Bilam, what's the commotion? Bilam says the Torah is being given, and then Yitro comes. So if this Midrash is correct, then the Torah is out of order. Which is okay. The Torah is allowed to be out of order. There is a teaching that says, En mukdam u'meuchar b'Torah. There's no, Torah does not follow historical timelines.
Yeah, but this is
pretty obvious, right? And so I'll tell you the truth is Rashi and the Ramban are on one side of this coin, if I remember the names correctly. And Rav Sadia Gaon and Rabbi Avraham ben Rambam, which presumably also his father, are on the other side of the coin. Rashi and Ramban says the Torah is out of order. Yitro heard about the Torah coming, giving, and that's why he came. So why did the Torah mention this first? It was out of order. Okay. And that's what the Midrash says. That's where Rabbi Elazar is going on the assumption the Torah is out of order.
so Yitro really came much later then.
Yes.
But wasn't there sort of a common knowledge that they were going to receive the Torah? Wasn't there?
Yes, but that's not what he said. If he would have said that, we would have been quiet, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so the truth is that the Jewish street really follows the opinion of Rashi and the Ramban.
Uh-huh.
That Yitro came because he heard of the Torah being given.
Right,
And the
okay.
Torah was out of order. Now, Rav Peretz, I remember this class, it must have been in second to last year in Israel. Rav Peretz said, I don't understand why. I know Rashi is a big commentator. I know the Midrash is a famous Midrash. He says, but why? The only time we say that Torah must be out of order is when you have no other choice but to explain a sequence of events in the Torah, and so you have to say it was out of order. But if this sequence of events makes sense, there was a big war, Yitro heard it and he came, then the Torah was given, that makes a lot of sense. There's nothing wrong with that sequence of events. Why would you then come now and switch it upside down? Especially when Rav Saadia Gaon and Rabbeinu Avram ben Aramam are both of the opinion that Torah happened in its natural order.
So then why does he say that?
Well, it's a different opinion. And there's a reason for why he says what he says. He has proofs for what he says. But the truth is that my understanding is as follows. Whenever you can understand a part of the Torah, the way it is written, the way it is pshat, follow the Torah that way.
But it says that the Torah was given, and Amalek. But it said that Yitro came and all the kings came. Why would they come? Because
They didn't
of the
come. They
war?
went to Bilam.
They
That was a midrash. That was Rabbi Elazar, the one who says the Torah came first.
Yeah.
He's then giving you the narrative of what happened. All the kings went to Bilam, and that's not an objective fact. And what I'm trying to bring out from here is another point, and this is essential to Rav Peretz's understanding of the Torah. And that is, whenever you can understand something the way it's written, understand it the way it's written. Don't jump through hoops. We have people come, oh, Rabbi, but this and that. What you're reading is not, it doesn't say that in the Torah. You're following an opinion that is, it's true, it's a major Jewish opinion. But whenever you can follow what the Torah says, listen to what the Torah says.
what does Sanjay Goren Avraham ben Ramban say?
That the Torah is in order. First it's Amalek, then Yitro comes, then the Torah is given. Like the Torah is written.
So then, how does he reconcile that with the fact that one of the reasons why Yitro came was because he heard the Torah had been given?
No, there are two conflicting reasons for why Yitro came. Rabbi Avraham ben Rambam and Rav Tzadok go and say, no, he came because of the war with Amalek, not because of the giving of the Torah.
Okay. That would make sense, yeah.
And forget this parasha. So really, what difference does it make? He came here, he came there. But whenever you learn something, you're learning a halakha, you're learning a parasha, you have to ask the question, does this really fit in? Does this fit into the text that I'm reading? Many times I hear halachot, people tell me, oh, this and that. Your understanding is so far removed, it's so divorced from the original source, it's crazy. I see this again now. I'm reviewing the halachot for Pesach, for Kashrut. I want to give you an example, and I don't want to overburden the point. We're not allowed to have any of the 5 grains in Pesach, right?
Right.
And so therefore we don't allow any mixtures of the 5 grains, anything that comes in contact with the 5 grains. We're very strict. The Torah says you can't have the 5 grains. We take that very extreme. We're not even allowed to own any of the 5 grains in Pesach. In Europe and in certain Sephardic communities, they're developed a custom to stay away from other things that are not from the 5 grains, but could have, for whatever reason, been confused with the 5 grains. Rice, corn, beans, etc. Kidneyot. I understand this custom developed. I'm leaving it alone. What bothers me is not that people observe that custom. It's that they treat that custom with the same severity that they treat chametz. I'll give you an example. If chametz is mixed into your food before Pesach, understand what I'm saying? That chametz is nullified in 60. And you're allowed to eat it on Pesach. If your chametz falls into the food on Pesach, it's not nullified in 60, you cannot eat that food. Okay, so if a little bit of bread falls into your chicken soup before Pesach, you're allowed to eat it. If it falls into it on Pesach, you cannot eat it. Why is it then that when corn or rice are part of a mixture, a minority mixture, before Pesach, people will not eat it on Pesach? How can you be stricter about corn and rice than you are about actual chametz?
Because, you
It's a
shouldn't
mistake.
because it's only hametz that's...
Right. And so what am I saying? I'm not arguing here that there are not great rabbis who said this. There are great rabbis who said that. But their opinion is so divorced, so far removed from the actual text that we Jews have. I want to give you an example. And I'm not condoning the drinking of Coca-Cola. But Coca-Cola is a beverage. The majority of it is water.
And sugar.
And sugar or corn syrup is what they really use. Corn syrup. And then all kinds of chemicals that Hashem should save us from. Yeah, that's essentially the order of what's inside of the Coca-Cola.
Just add one.
It doesn't...
There's so much sugar it doesn't float.
Okay, so
If you
they
put a
have...
bottle of Sprite in water, it'll float because of the carbonation.
Yeah.
If you put a bottle of Coke in water, there's too much sugar, so it won't float.
Interesting. Yeah, there you have it from our scientist
How do you like
in
that?
residence. Okay, so the truth is that there are people, they run a special run of Coca-Cola just for the Jews who keep the lives of kitniot with sugar instead of corn syrup. But if I just told you that the majority of the Coca-Cola is water, that means the kitniot, which is corn syrup, is already nullified in 60.
Yeah?
Why do you insist on having people, I can't have any corn derivatives in my food for Pesach? That's not true. You're allowed to have chametz derivatives on Pesach. Corn derivatives you're not allowed to have. Not derivatives. I don't mean derivatives, I mean combinations. Combinations.
It's only leavened bread that's prohibited.
And barley and rye
Okay,
and
the
spell.
five-
Yeah,
the
yeah,
five-
fine.
the 5 grains.
No, but the 5 grains.
Yeah.
So when we find them so divorced from the source, it must bother you at your core. You can't just let it slide.
So the fences take on a higher level of...
Than the Torah
according to
itself.
that, yeah.
And this is a problem. It's a major problem. Because it shows that priorities are misconstrued. Okay. And you find here that in the Pshat, Rashi, I can't tell you Rashi's wrong. Who can say such a thing? But I can tell you that in the order of priorities, I would much rather the Torah make sense in order than have to twist my thumbs and to prove the Torah is out of order. Okay? Here comes the next piece. Gimel, the third one. Lo tachmod bet racha, lo tachmod eshet racha, v'avado, v'amato, v'shoro, v'chamoro, v'chol asher racha. This is one of the 10 commandments. Do not covet the house of your friend, or the wife of your friend, or his slave, or his maidservant, or his ox, or his donkey, or anything that he has. וכבר כתב רבי חיים ויטל ז"ל. He quotes Rabbi Chaim Vital. This is classic. Rabbi Peretz will quote Kabbalah, but very briefly, so as not to teach in places where he shouldn't teach. Rabbi Chaim Vital was the foremost student of
Joseph Karo.
of the Arizal. He was in the same generation as Rabbi Yosef Karo. They lived in the same city. Besever Shaar Kedusha. He wrote in his book Shaar Kedusha. Shakul lo tachmod keneged kol aseret hadibrot. The prohibition of do not, is there a better word than covet? Do not want, do not desire. What? Do not?
Be jealous of.
Do not be jealous of, okay. Yeah. This lo tachmod, this prohibition,
Envious of.
Those are all good words. This is sort of lo tachmod is equal to the rest of the 10 Commandments.
Really?
Meaning it's on a higher level, or as an equal level, as if you took the 9 Commandments and this 1 commandment, they would weigh the same.
Okay.
Now, obviously, the first of the 10 Commandments is believe in Hashem. So how can you tell me this is greater? Reb Chaim Vital is bringing out a point. The point is that this lo tachmod, this idea of do not be jealous of another person, of what they have, what they own, this is the major 10th commandment. This is one of the 10 commandments that will change, make or break a person's life. And we're not aware as to how jealous or envious we are, and what it does in our lives when we are envious and jealous of other people. And I'll bring an example. Nalif. You see these words that are underlined? Nalif.
Yeah.
Yeah, nalif, right here. Nalif literally means in Aramaic, we will now learn. But nalif is also the acronym of Nirali. It appears to me, Yaakov Peretz. It appears to me, Yaakov Peretz, the following. Inyan chemda, this word of coveting or envious or jealousy, what it is? Hukina, that's jealousy, tacharut, competition. Hashva'a ma sheyesh lazulati ma sheyesh la'atzmo, comparing what another person has with what I have. Ve'en ha'adam merutze mima sheyesh lo. A person is never satisfied with what they have. Ve'ro'eh ma sheyesh lazulat, and he sees not just what another person has, but how does he envision what another person has? B'ha'aracha mufrezet, with he overestimates what another person has. Meaning, it's not just that person drives a fancy car. I think that's the fanciest car in the world. It's not just a fancy car; it's the fanciest car. Or I see another person, his wife. She's the best wife, not just another wife. Whatever it would be that a person would come. Or that person, his kids, they're not just. There's a.
What if someone were literally to have the fanciest car on earth?
Well, okay, so then maybe this would be okay. Avram's correct. Yeah, that's true. I'll give you an example.
They'd make another one.
You know, my father-in-law once said, I should have been the plumber. Look at how the plumber's kids came out. No, they came out good kids. But the truth is that you don't really know. Maybe they came out good kids, but they're not as good as you think they are. So you're not only being jealous or envious, you're being envious about something that's not really there. You see a person's house, you assume they must be wealthy. You don't know. Maybe they're so far in debt, they're just trying to keep up an image. You have no idea.
Yeah, no idea.
I saw a beautiful picture once.
Yeah.
They showed a picture of a street outside of a coffee shop. And it had a man walking down the street with his business case, and he's a businessman, and he's $3 million in debt because he's in the middle of all kinds of business transactions he's hoping to get money from, but he's not sure yet. Now he owes $3 million. He says, there's a person walking into the store. They have all kinds of mortgages they need to pay, car payments they have, so they are negative $300,000, whatever it is. The barista behind the counter who's serving the coffee, she's $300,000 in debt from her student loans. So she realizes, and the only one in the picture who has money is the homeless guy, because he has 25 cents in his cup. He's the one who actually has the money. Yeah. So here he's jealous of us. Look how much money you have. And we think, oh, look at him, he has nothing. But really, if you were really to look at the world in a perfect way, he has 25 cents more than anybody in the whole street.
Actually, it's probably more than 25 cents. Because they're like negative $2 million.
I say very good.
Yeah,
so, and this is an incredible. People don't stop to see the world this way. Do not be jealous. You're being jealous in a over jealous fashion because it's not necessarily what other people have.
Not necessarily the reality.
Yeah. If you covet It really sounds like to me like in English like you're jealous, but you want it for yourself. I think it's a very powerful word. But also, if you do covet what someone else has, it means you really don't have any faith in Hashem, because if you did, you would know that what you have is what Hashem knows is what you need.
Yeah.
So it really does encompass.
It's very tied into
They're not
emunah.
even thinking of Hashem.
That's right.
Not even thinking of it.
Maybe one of the reasons why it's such a powerful commandment is because it subsumes under it other ones. You have to have a belief in Hashem. You have to have no other God. You have to have, there have to be things that are in place so that you do not.
So you're now explaining why this Dibra carries so much weight, because clearly if you're struggling with this one, you must not really believe in the first one, or the very good. This is a very good point. I like it. You should write it down. No, really, you should write it down.
Why?
He said the other part is that when a person is jealous, they're putting down what they have. It's kind of like they're being ungrateful to Hashem for what I have.
Yeah.
Rabbi Nachman of Breslov once said, when a person says, I'm having such a good day, such a bad day, Hashem says, oh, you think that's a bad day? Watch me show a different, worse day. Yeah? But he said, when a person says, I'm having such a great day, Hashem says, oh, you're having a great day? You think this is good? I'll make it 10 times better. And really, a person is not just jealous of what another person has, they're even losing out on what they have. And then Rav Peretz brings down in a story, and I'm not going to read all the Hebrew because I want to get through the last 2 points. The story is, they once came to a person, it's famous, they once told us a joke, but they came to a person and said, a king says, I'll give you anything you want, but to your enemy I'm going to give double.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And the only thing the guy can come up with is to poke out his eye. Because that way the other guy will have no eyes. Yeah. And Rav Peretz says, this is a foolish man.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't realize. So the other guy has double. But what did I ask for? I'm going to ask now from the king, give me a house, give me a car, give me money for tuition, give me all the food I need for the rest of... Whatever it is, you're covered, right? You're taken care of. So if the other person has 2 houses, or 2 cars, or double the amount of his kids' tuition, what difference does it make to you? You're good for life.
You're good. You're set.
Why are you jealous of them?
Yeah.
Because you consume with a certain amount of hate.
Very good. So what it comes out of lo tachmo, do not be jealous. It's not just about the jealousy. Inside of jealousy are all kinds of other hatred and competition and all kinds of other character traits that don't really belong there.
So the way I just figured out, you can get both the exact same amount of stuff. Way is, ask for food, figure out how much will go spoiled in a certain amount of time.
Oh, God.
And ask for that exact amount.
Avram has a good plan.
He has a very good mind.
Baruch Hashem, that's why he's
If
here.
you ask Hashem for lots of emunah and lots of strength and lots of mazel, I mean, you wouldn't have to even be so specific.
Right? Now there's another problem. That's people trying to outdo each other. And it's not just people trying to outdo each other when it comes to business or bar mitzvahs or whatever, nicer bar mitzvahs than another person.
Mega yachts right now.
Mega?
What?
Mega yachts. There's this Russian billionaire versus like Mark Cuban and a bunch of other people who are trying to build like the biggest yacht ever.
Oh, yeah.
It's like they never grew up.
It's true. It's little kids that just got older.
The toilet just got more
But the
expensive.
truth is that there's even a teaching in Judaism, kinat sofrim tarbeh chokhmah. Competition among the sages will increase wisdom.
Oh, that's different.
Understand? So people use this very often to say, so we should compete with each other. We should try to outdo that shul. We should try to outdo that.
No, in wisdom.
Very good. So
Very
it says,
different.
first off, it's in wisdom. We're talking about wisdom.
Yeah.
But he says, kinat sofrim. What does it mean, jealousy? Like, that person knows so much Torah. I want to also know Torah. So it doesn't mean I want to know more Torah than them. That's not what it says. It says it will increase wisdom. It gives me motivation to put my best forward. And so yes, I may not know as much Torah as him. It wasn't my point. My point was never to outdo somebody else. Rather, my point was to reach the highest level I could, and if the motivation for that was a little bit of jealousy for what somebody else has, it was okay. It was a good kind of jealousy. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, though, says that today, we shouldn't, I heard this Rabbi Nachman from Rav Peretz, I didn't see this inside, that you shouldn't even use this character trait anymore, because nobody knows how to have good jealousy anymore.
Yeah.
Jealousy is just bad. And to the point where Rav Peretz, when he would get the report cards for his children, he would hold the envelope. I don't know if you know, they don't do this in America, but they send the report cards in Israel home with the kids.
Yeah, they used to do it here in the U.S.
Yeah, and I'm sure the kids probably throw them in the garbage or whatever it does. So they used to bring them home, and our parents wouldn't open. He would hold the envelope in his hand, and he would say, "Are you doing well in school? You have friends? Are you learning? Tell me something you learned. Great. he would rip up the envelope and put it in the garbage. And then I'd say, what do you mean my grades? It doesn't make a difference. You don't have to do better than somebody else. You just have to be doing the best you can do.
Yeah.
A person must. I don't have to do. People tell their kids, why can't you be smart like the other? Why does he have to be like the other person? Why? He needs to be who he is.
Yes, yeah.
She needs to be who she is. But that doesn't give a person an excuse to be lazy. Avram, don't get any ideas on me. You can't be lazy. Person say, I'm cut out for greatness. So I will do the best that I can do. I don't need to do what someone else is doing. But I also can't just say, because the grades have a downside. A person who doesn't, there are people that they're so smart, they don't need to study ever.
Yeah.
So what do? They never study, they never work, they just walk in the test and they take it. Such people, it's a problem. Because you are not obligated to get 100 on your test. You're obligated, if you can get a 300, even if it's not such a thing, if you learn the material, you're obligated to get a 300. Yes, for the other person it works, they work hard to get a 95, well, that's what they have to do, but you have to do better.
What if the highest that you can get is 100?
So
there's
then,
no point in studying more.
But the hours of studying, the growth, the learning, the wisdom that you get, especially I'm talking about the fields of Torah. It's not a matter of passing the test. It's how well do you know the material. When we were learning for Smicha in Yeshiva, some of the guys were really, I know that they're going to be cut out to be giants in Torah. I already have some of my friends we learn with. I call them for questions when I can't get Rav Peretz on the phone. I'm not jealous of them. We know each other. When I came to a test, I am supposed to do what I can do on the test. Mm-hmm. He came to the test and was writing a book about the test. I said, okay, fine. But there were other people that Hashem Yishmo. I don't know if they even were able to pass the test. But every person has to be on, they have to do the best they can do. Once I saw Rav Peretz throw a person out of yeshiva. And he said, I'm throwing you out because you're lazy. He said, you're spoiled. He said, I don't care if you don't ever get an answer right on the test. I don't care if you don't understand what it is that we're learning. But you're sitting and trying and working hard, that's all that matters to me. Yeah. But you come here and you think you're so smart, you never have to study, you never have to be here, you never have to come to class. Those character traits are rotten at their root.
You say it's a toil in Torah, doesn't it say something?
Sure, but a person says, I'm so smart, I don't need a toil, I just have to read it once and I can go to the beach for the day in Tel Aviv.
I think that when people covet, I think they really don't like themselves. But
wait, you're reading the next sentence. You want to read it?
I am?
Yeah.
I think also when you say that, he knows so much more Torah than I do. It's inspiration. It's inspiring to
learn more,
to grow for growth.
Sure.
It's not coveting. It's inspiring. I think it's very different.
And that's why our rabbis mention it in those words. So now he says, "Liot merutzim me'atzmenu." A person has to be. It's the empty parenthesis bubble. You see that? It looks like a C at the beginning of the line. The second word is underlined. Liot merutzim me'atzmenu. Where a person has to be happy, satisfied with who they are. Usmechim b'chalkenu. We have to be joyful about our portion. He'ach baranu HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the way Hashem created me, I'm satisfied. Lefatech kishronotenu asher chanenu haborei yitbarach. And the only obligation we have is to improve and increase the talents which Hashem has given us. Mm-hmm. If you give a standardized test to an elephant, a monkey, and a goldfish about how to climb a tree, then obviously two of them are going to fail.
Oh, it was like Einstein. Einstein said that if you're driven by its ability to climb a tree,
this is Einstein.
Live its life thinking that it's stupid.
This is Einstein.
I got the highest score on my standardized test.
Oh, come on. So this idea that it's not standardized, but you have to do the best with what you have, and to be happy with what you have. And once I asked our parents about marriage, what it is that makes or breaks people's midot, when they fight about, my wife wasn't pretty enough for me. There's such people. I don't know if you've met them, but I've had the unfortunate pleasure to meet them as well. Our parents said, when you look in the mirror and you say, I weigh more than I wanted to weigh. Or I don't like the color of my hair. Whatever it is. You get over it. Why do you get over it? I'm happy with the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu made me. At the end of the day, this is who I am. At a certain place of wisdom, a person embraces who they are. Mm-hmm. He said when a person gets married, the idea is to embrace their spouse as part of them, not as who they are. You can't embrace somebody I can't embrace Abraham for who he is. Yeah, he only knows who he is. But when I marry somebody, I have to embrace them as part of me. Just like if my nose were crooked, I would be okay with it. What am I going to do? So too, if her nose is crooked, it's also going to be okay. Because just like I'm able to forgive myself for my flaws, then I should be able to forgive the other half of myself for my flaws. But the reason why people can't forgive is because they're not happy with what they have in the first place. People are always trying to change their hair color. They're always trying to redo their nose. They're always trying to know what it is. They're always trying to buy a different kind of clothing that's going to make them look skinnier. Whatever it is that people do, it's a constant search to be happy with myself, but they'll never find it because they never are willing to just embrace themselves for who they are. And this is why lo tachmod, do not covet, is such a profound character trait.
Mm-hmm.
There's one last piece, and this piece is what Marlene asked. And that is, why is it that Yitro had to come? I'm skipping a part in the middle because I don't have time for it right now. But why is it that Yitro had to come and teach Moshe Rabbeinu about a Jewish court system? Moshe couldn't have figured it out on his own. It's too much work for him. Hashem couldn't have commanded Moshe about it on his own. He brings out the Midrash doesn't ask this question. I don't know if the Midrash doesn't answer it or if Rav Peretz didn't like the Midrash's answer. Rav Peretz says the reason why the Torah says that we learned about how to form a Jewish government or a court system from Yitro, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to lelamdenu, to teach us chokhmah v'sidrei shilton, wisdom and organized government. Efshar lilmod gam migoyim, you're able to study even from the non-Jews.
Oh, really?
The idea is Hashem wanted us to say not everything right comes from the Jewish people. Hashem wanted to set an example for the Jews. There are some things that you should go learn from the nations of the world. They're better at it than we are. Moshe Rabbeinu, you're right. For whatever reason, he thought he could judge the people on their own. It took somebody not Jewish, yes, his father-in-law, to come and tell Moshe Rabbeinu, hey, you have to put together a different system. So why did Hashem make it happen that way? He wanted us to know there is what to learn from the non-Jews around us. And this might be contrary to many things you've heard in your life about Jews and non-Jews. There is what to learn. And it's for this reason our rabbis tell us. It's a famous teaching, you should know it. Our rabbis say, Chokhmah bagoyim. If someone tells you there's wisdom that we should go study from the non-Jews, ta'amin, believe them. It's true. Go study wisdom from them. But if they tell you Torah bagoyim, that this religion, they know how to understand the Torah better than us, or they know how to understand the words of our rabbis better than us, al ta'amin, you cannot believe. We have a monopoly on the Torah.
Yeah, I agree.
We do not have a monopoly, though, on wisdom. We don't.
On secular wisdom.
Yeah. How to run a government, a great example. And therefore, we have to always keep our minds open to study, even from the sages of the rest of the world. And Rav Peretz just proves his point, because in Halakha it says that there are blessings. You know there's a blessing you make when you see a big Torah scholar?
Mm.
You say, Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu Melech HaOlam, Shenatan Michochmato Lire'av. That Hashem gave from His wisdom to those who fear Him.
Oh.
I made this blessing on Chacham Ovadia Yosef. Not every.
Of course.
And there's a blessing you make on non-Jewish. If you would meet Aristotle, I don't know, or Socrates, however, one of the great leaders of the world was.
Scientist.
Yeah, you would say, Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu Melech HaOlam, Hanoten Michochmato Lebriotav. He who has given from his wisdom to his creations. Now, I believe there's a different blessing we make today. Shechilak michochmato. The first one is he gave from his wisdom to his, and the second about the goyim is he gave to not those who fear him. They don't necessarily have a relationship with Hashem, but to those creations of his, he's also given them wisdom. And therefore, we have to know that there is what to learn from the rest of the world as well. It doesn't just come from Am Yisrael. The idea of Yitro, to walk back, to go through some of these points. A little bit of humility that Moshe had towards his father-in-law. Moshe was the most humble of all men. Yeah. He was also the leader of the Jewish people who had just come out of Egypt. He still was able to give that respect to his father-in-law. To look about Yitro, what did he hear? The order of Torah. Do you want to understand how big the midah of not being jealous of another person, but how a person should be satisfied with themselves? When I sit down and learn the Parasha, Rav Peretz taught me that this is the way you learn the Parasha. It doesn't have to flow, but it must be profound points that you take out of the Parasha. It must be profound. You must walk away saying, oh, I learned something. And perhaps what you can do is to go through the Parasha on your own and dig deeper, look inside. And if you're able to use sources, then obviously open up a Ramban in the Chumash, a Rashi, whatever book you can, an Ibn Ezra, whatever book you can get your hands on, a Midrash, whatever you have in your library. To look a little deeper, but just think beyond the words and come out with a message. And that message is what you should speak about on Shabbat. Not something you heard somewhere, not an idea something you really discovered, something that you felt was, wow, this will improve another person's life. B'ezrat Hashem, we'll merit to do that many, many more times on the Parasha. Very well.